Well, it's a tough time to be a Jacksonville Jaguar fan right now. The Jags were awful in 2012. 2-14, the worst record in franchise history. There was no good news to report. They were 30th in points scored, 29th in points allowed, terrible on both sides of the ball, and so we've seen a house cleaning in Jacksonville. Owner Shad Khan has fired general manager Gene Smith. The move was probably a year overdue. The Jags had gotten steadily worse under Smith, but Khan is taking a little bit of a chance on Smith's replacement. I think Shad Khan in a few years will either be viewed as the visionary type or as a clueless owner, because to fix a 2-14 team, Khan has assembled, without a doubt, the greenest, most inexperienced front office and coaching staff in the entire NFL. Dave Caldwell, the new GM in Jacksonville. Caldwell's a young guy, 38 years old. He's been working under Thomas Dimitroff in the Atlanta Falcons organization for the past few years, so he's been part of a winning organization, but putting together a team, being the general manager of an NFL franchise, no doubt a jump into the deep end for Caldwell. First thing he did was fire head coach Mike Mularkey. Mularkey had only been coach for 1 year in Jacksonville, but as we said, the Jags were 2-14. Caldwell replaced Mularkey with Gus Bradley, who has been the defensive coordinator of the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle has had one of the best defenses in the NFL for the last 2 years, no doubt about it. However, just 6 years ago, Gus Bradley was coaching college football in North Dakota. So he has extremely limited experience in the NFL in general, much less as the head coach of an NFL team, to fix the Jaguars' offense, which has been one of the worst in the NFL for the last 2 years. Bradley named Jedd Fisch offensive coordinator. Fisch has never before called plays in the NFL. He's been the coordinator with the Miami Dolphins for the last couple of years. So the Jacksonville Jaguars, as it stands now, are the only team in the NFL with a first-time GM, a guy who's never before put together an NFL roster, a first-time NFL head coach, and a first-time NFL offensive coordinator, a guy who's never before called plays in the NFL. So Jaguar fans just have to sit back and hope that Dave Caldwell knows what he's doing. Now, Caldwell did alienate a segment of the Jaguars fan base in his first press conference by announcing there is no way the Jags will go after quarterback Tim Tebow. Tebow is from Jacksonville. He played his college football about 60 miles down the road at University of Florida. So the greater Jacksonville area probably has more Tim Tebow fans than anywhere in the world, and a lot of those people see the Jaguars a 2-14 team with one of the worst offenses in the NFL, one of the worst quarterback situations in the NFL, and they say, what do you have to lose? By bringing in a guy who has had more on-field success anyway than any quarterback currently on the Jags roster, and who would no doubt generate some buzz and some ticket sales for a franchise in the short term that seemingly could use it. However, Caldwell apparently doesn't view it that way. He said even if Tebow is released, he will not be going after Tim Tebow, which brings a question, what will he be doing at the quarterback position? Because clearly he needs to do something. The Jaguars quarterbacks, Blaine Gabbert and Chad Henne, not good enough. Blaine Gabbert's only been in the league 2 years, still a young guy, but while he's been on the field, he's been one of the worst quarterbacks in the entire NFL. Henne replaced him mid-season last year, and Henne was clearly an upgrade over Gabbert, but Henne, over the course of the season, showed why the Miami Dolphins were eager to get rid of him following the 2011 season. I think it's safe to say the Jaguars' quarterback of the future is not currently on the roster, and I do think Caldwell is going to do something in the short term this offseason, something different at the quarterback position. Now, I'm sure Gabbert will be on the roster next year. Henne's under contract next year. We'll see if he's on the roster. But it wouldn't surprise me if Caldwell drafted a quarterback or signed one via free agency or acquired one via trade. But when you look at the options, there's limited options for a quarterback-needy team this year. The Jaguars do draft second overall, but the general consensus is there's no college quarterback in this year's crop worthy of a top 5 selection. The free agency pool is somewhat limited, and even when you look at guys who aren't free agents but could be available, guys like Alex Smith and Matt Flynn of the Seattle Seahawks, would those guys make that much of a difference for this Jacksonville Jaguars team? I'm not sure they would. They'd no doubt be an upgrade over what the Jags have had, but would they be enough to elevate the Jags into a contender? I don't think they would, and I think that Dave Caldwell and Jags coaching staff are probably realistic about that. So if I was a Jaguars fan, I wouldn't have my hopes too high for the quarterback position, at least in the short term, at least this coming year. You never know. The Jaguars could be terrible again next year, and there could be a franchise-type quarterback in the 2014 draft. I'm not sure that's much of a comfort to Jags fans. But Dave Caldwell, if he knows what he's doing, is in good position. The Jags do have the second pick, as we said, in the draft, so they'll be drafting high in every round. And they're projected to have around $25 million of cap space, and that number could get bigger if, as we expect, some veterans. I was about to say big-name veterans, but the Jacksonville just doesn't have that many big-name players. But guys like Aaron Ross, the nickelback, if the Jags release him, they'll save or gain around $3 million, $3.5 million, I think, more cap space. And they'll make some moves like that. So we expect Jacksonville really to have around $30 million of cap space when the new salary cap is released here in a couple of weeks. So Dave Caldwell has an opportunity to build this roster. We expect a lot of personnel turnover in Jacksonville, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Gus Bradley is a defensive guy, as we said, and I think fixing the defense will be priority number one in Jacksonville. But Jacksonville fans have suffered through bad offense for a long time right now. I'm sure they hope some excitement is injected into that offense. Rookie Justin Blackmon did show some flashes last year. Second-year man Cecil Shorts was a bit of a revelation as a wide receiver. Now, Shorts might be better suited for the slot, but the Jags need to find a decent wide receiver to go opposite Blackmon on the outside in order to put Shorts in the slot, and they don't have that right now. Laurent Robinson was an absolute bust as a free agent acquisition, and we do expect him to be cut here shortly. So we'll see what the Jags do. Again, a lot of room under the salary cap, high draft choices, so Dave Caldwell has opportunity. Will he do better than the last regime? The good news for him is he can't do much worse. But if you're a Jaguars fan, again, you're left to just sit and hope.